Hello and welcome to English Audio Stories. This is your place to relax and enjoy learning English through simple stories. In every video, you'll hear clear English that helps you grow your vocabulary and listening skills. So take a deep breath, listen carefully, and enjoy the story. My first flight. Emma was 19 years old and lived in a small town in the north of England. She had never been on a plane before. She always traveled by car, bus, or train. But this year was different. Last month, her uncle invited her to visit him in Italy. He lived in Rome and said, "Come and stay with me for a week. I will show you the city." Emma was excited. She loved history, and Rome was full of old buildings, museums, and amazing food. Her parents said yes. They were happy for her, but also a little nervous. Her mom asked, "Are you sure you want to fly alone?" Emma smiled and said, "Yes, I want to try something new." They booked the flight online. It was her first plane ticket. She looked at it every day. The flight was from Manchester to Rome on Monday, August 5th at 10:45 in the morning. She had to be at the airport 2 hours earlier. She started packing 1 week before the flight. She packed clothes, shoes, a book, and a small gift for her uncle. She also bought a passport cover and a travel pillow. She felt ready, but also a bit scared. 2 days before the flight, she couldn't sleep well. She dreamed about missing the plane or losing her passport. She read articles like What to Do at the Airport and Tips for First-Time Flyers. She also watched YouTube videos. Some were funny and some were helpful. On Sunday night, she checked her suitcase one last time. Passport? Yes. Ticket? Yes. Phone charger? Yes. She went to bed early, her heart beating fast. Tomorrow would be her first flight. Emma woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun was shining. It was a perfect day to fly. Her dad made her a cup of tea, and her mum gave her toast with jam. She wasn't very hungry, but she ate a little. She was too excited. At 7 o'clock, they left the house and drove to Manchester Airport. It took about 1 hour. Emma looked out of the window and watched the trees and cars. Her hands felt cold. Her mum said, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." Emma smiled, but she was still a bit nervous. When they arrived at the airport, Emma saw many people with suitcases. The building was big and busy. She took a deep breath. This was her first time at an airport. They found the departures area and looked at the screen. Her flight number was FR2412. Rome, 10:45, on time. That was good news. Emma said goodbye to her parents near the security gate. Her mum gave her a big hug and a tissue. Her dad said, "Call us when you land." Emma waved and walked towards the security check. Security was new for her, but not scary. She put her bag on a tray. She took off her jacket and shoes. A woman asked, "Any liquids?" Emma showed her a small plastic bag with shampoo and toothpaste. Everything was okay. After security, she found a quiet place to sit. Around her were shops, cafes, and many people. Some were reading, some eating, some sleeping. It felt like a small city. She bought a bottle of water and a sandwich. Then she walked to gate 22. Her flight would leave from there. She sat near the window and watched the planes. One took off with great speed. Emma smiled. Soon, it would be her turn. At 10:15, A voice announced, "Flight FR 2412 to Rome is now boarding at Gate 22. Emma's heart jumped. She stood up and joined the queue. There were families, couples, and people flying alone, just like her. A kind woman checked her passport and ticket. "Have a nice flight," the woman said. Emma smiled and replied, "Thank you." She walked through a long tunnel and saw the plane waiting outside. It was white with a blue stripe and looked very big. Emma climbed the stairs slowly. Her legs felt weak, but she was also excited. A flight attendant greeted her at the door. "Good morning. Welcome on board." Emma found her seat, 18A, next to the window. There were 3 seats in each row. A man sat in the middle seat, and a young woman sat on the aisle. They all smiled politely, but didn't talk. Emma put her bag under the seat and fastened her seatbelt. She looked out of the window. Workers were putting suitcases into the plane. Another plane was taking off in the distance. The sky was blue with a few white clouds. The pilot spoke. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We are ready for takeoff. The flight to Rome will take about 2.5 hours. Thank you for flying with us." The plane started to move, slowly at first, then faster. It turned onto the runway. Emma's heart beat faster. The engines got louder. Then, suddenly, the plane was in the air. She looked out of the window and saw the airport getting smaller and smaller. Soon, they were flying above the clouds. Everything below disappeared. It felt like flying through soft white pillows. The seatbelt sign was still on. Emma sat quietly and tried to relax. She was really flying, for the first time in her life, and it felt amazing. The seatbelt sign turned off, and passengers started to move. Some opened books, others used their phones or talked. A few people were already sleeping. Emma looked out of the window again. She could only see clouds. It felt peaceful, like floating in the sky. A flight attendant came with a trolley. "Drinks or snacks?" she asked. Emma bought an orange juice and a small packet of crisps. "Thank you," she said with a smile. "You're welcome," the attendant replied. Emma took out her book, but she didn't read much. Everything was new to her. The sound of the engines, the air blowing from the ceiling, the small window next to her seat. She was in a completely different world. Suddenly, the plane began to shake a little. Emma felt nervous. She looked around. Nobody seemed scared. The man sitting next to her smiled and said, "It's just turbulence. Very normal." Emma nodded and tried to stay calm. After a few minutes, the shaking stopped. She took a deep breath and smiled to herself. "I'm okay," she thought. "I can do this." She looked at the screen in front of her. It showed the flight path. The plane was already flying over France. Only about 1 more hour to go. The woman sitting on the aisle took out a map of Rome. She was planning her trip. Emma looked at her and asked, "Are you going to Rome too?" The woman smiled. "Yes, for a holiday. What about you?" "I'm visiting my uncle," Emma said. "It's my first time flying." "You're doing great," the woman replied kindly. That short conversation made Emma feel better. She wasn't alone. Everyone on the plane was sharing the same journey, even if they didn't know each other. The pilot spoke again. "We are now starting our descent into Rome. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts." Emma looked out of the window. She could see land again, fields, roads, and small towns. The plane was slowly going down. The flight attendants walked through the aisle, checking seat belts. The woman sitting next to Emma smiled and said, "Almost there." Emma smiled back, but she felt a little nervous again. The plane started to descend more. Emma felt some pressure in her ears, but she remembered the tip she read online. She chewed gum, and it helped. She looked outside and saw more of the city below. Rome looked big and full of life. Then she saw something she recognized: the Colosseum. She had only seen pictures of it before. Now it was right there outside the window. She couldn't believe it. She was really arriving in Rome. The wheels touched the ground. The plane landed with a small bump, but everything was fine. Some people clapped. Emma laughed quietly. She felt proud. She had done it. Her first flight was over. The plane stopped near the terminal. People stood up and got their bags. Emma waited patiently, then walked to the front of the plane. "Goodbye," said the flight attendant. "Thank you," Emma replied. Outside, the sun was shining. It was warmer than in England. She followed the signs to passport control. An officer looked at her passport and nodded. "Welcome to Italy," he said. Emma smiled. "Thank you." When she walked into the arrivals area, she saw her uncle waving. "Emma," he called. She ran to him and gave him a big hug. "How was the flight?" he asked. Emma smiled and said, "It was wonderful. I can't wait to fly again." Great job. You listened to the whole story in English. The more you listen, the better you get. So keep going and come back for more. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.